Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Nefertiti Gold and I'm an electronic R&B artist. Now, today's video is definitely focused on something that I recently purchased. And around this time of year, there's going to be so many videos on YouTube about the best musician gifts, the best gifts to get for musicians 2024. That is going to be floating all over the internet. And don't get me wrong, I definitely love indulging in those videos. I like watching them to know what's really out there, what's new, what's happening. And, you know, I kind of live vicariously through other creators as well. I've been trying to focus on only buying the things that I need, things that actually solve a real problem, not a made up problem. And that's what kind of brings me to today's video. Now, I recently purchased a Unison Performance Case by Analog Cases. Now, this video is not sponsored by Analog Cases. I did buy the case myself. However, this video is sponsored by DistroKid. In a world full of a million things that we need to do as independent artists, DistroKid makes it fast, makes it simple, makes it easy to distribute your music. They are one of the world's biggest distributors, distributing 1/3 of all of the world's music to all streaming platforms. They are constantly innovating new tools to help us out when it comes to music. One of those tools being Mixia. Mixia allows you to put those final touches on your music, get it mastered, and get it out the door. Now, Mixia is not meant to replace a real human engineer. However, if you are on a limited budget and you are short on time, Mixia is a great tool to have in your back pocket. Now, Mixia is available to DistroKid members for just $99 a year for unlimited tracks. And if you are not already a DistroKid member, definitely use my link in the description below and get 7% off your first year. So, as I was saying, I purchased the Unison Performance Case from Analog Cases to solve an actual problem that I have. Now, one of the main problems that I've had with my current set is essentially trying to find a way to quickly get on stage and get the hell off of stage. Now, originally, I thought the easiest way to do that is to try to condense the amount of gear that I use, but I still found that it took me some time to set up, taking things out of this bag and this case, this cable from over there, getting this little adapter from to the left, to the right. Like, I was kind of all over the place and I didn't necessarily have dedicated cases for every piece of gear. And so that kind of made it a bit cumbersome. And then on top of it, I just kind of felt like I had so many bags and cases that housed everything. And then you have to take everything out of each compartment, pull it all together. And then once your set is over, you have to make sure that you put everything back. Now, I've definitely have been guilty of not necessarily properly wrapping my wires and putting them neatly back in the bag after a set, because once I'm done and the next person has to come on stage, I need to get off as quickly as possible. Now, originally, I wasn't even in the market for this particular case. I didn't even know it existed. All I knew is that I needed some type of a case to put this stuff in. So I just went down the rabbit hole of YouTube and Google. And then I was like, holy crap, there is a dedicated performance case that I don't have to necessarily MacGyver and make myself. Now, one of the things that they promoted kind of heavily, I think, is the ability to essentially, you can Velcro everything down and then flip it over and it won't even come out. I don't know if I'm going to be flipping anything over. Honestly, once I saw that, I was pretty sold. Now, before purchasing it, I definitely tried to do my due diligence in measuring my gear and then trying to look at the measurements online to kind of make sure things were compatible. And I was very certain that most things were compatible. I just had to get it here and try it out for myself. Now, I'm definitely going to show more of the setup in detail, but before we get to that, I definitely want to make a note right now that overall, I am extremely pleased, extremely happy with this purchase. It was one of those things where you're kind of afraid to spend the money. It's like, do you really need it? Can you find a cheaper alternative? And sometimes you have to like bite the bullet and just kind of go for it. And in this particular case, I will say that it was very much worth it. So, as I was saying in my intro, here is my current setup when using the performance case by Analog Cases. And when I tell you this genuinely solves a problem that I had, it genuinely solves a problem. It solves a real problem. It's not something made up where I pretend or I kind of lie to myself saying, oh, I need to get that. I need that. This was something that actually really helped kind of streamline my current setup and kind of get everything in one case in one location. And setup and breakdown for performances is a lot easier and a lot faster compared to before. Now, there's still a bit of work necessary as far as when I'm setting up, and it mainly has to do with the push 3. Before I get into that, I do want to at least tell you and show you what I have in front of me. I have the second camera going so you can kind of see it a little bit more up close. So starting with the brains of the operation, which is the push 3. I have my ride or die, the Roland VT4 vocal processor. I have the Akai LPD8 Mark III for extra setup drum pads and some knobs. And then I also have the Cobalt 5S as my MIDI keyboard, and eventually I can use it as a synth. I can run audio from this. This is a full-on functioning synthesizer. So it's gonna be one of those pieces where it's just gonna keep on giving as time passes on. So as I was saying, as far as setting up and breaking down, the biggest kind of caveat to that is gonna be because of the configuration that I have in front of me and me really trying to find a way to get all of this stuff in this case. Now, if this case was just a little bit bigger, I would be able to kind of probably leave most of this plugged in, but that's not really the case. So between the Push 3 and the Cobalt 5S and the way that it's arranged, when it's in the case, I cannot have any of these cables plugged into it. The Push 3 with the Cobalt 5S, when the case is closed, no wires plugged in, is literally right up to the edge of the case. When I'm performing, I still have to plug some things up, but compared to having my push in one case, my keyboard in another, and my cables over there, and having all of the different parts in different bags or cases, I essentially have everything in one place. And I know that all I need to do is really just have either a separate bag for my cables, or I can kind of finesse some space here for the cables and some of the negative spaces that I have in here, but I do like to keep the cables separate. Now, I will say the industrial strength Velcro is the truth, okay? I have transported this, I've lifted this case, I've gone to gigs, I've brought it out into the real world. And when I tell you, when I open up the case, everything is exactly where it is. Everything is exactly where it is. Now, I know in the original video for the performance case, they did this thing where they like take it and like flip it upside down to show how strong it is. I'm not going to do that. And it's not that I don't have faith in it. It's just that, why do I need to do that? Why do I need to do that? That's not necessary. Okay, I believe you. Trust me, I believe you. When it comes to the Push 3, however, I only have part of it Velcroed on the back. I don't have the entire back Velcroed. And part of the reason is because I need to actually lift it off the Velcro and kind of have it hanging off the edge a little bit. One, so that I can give it a little bit of airflow underneath it, as well as being able to plug in all the cables necessary. So a brief kind of explanation on how I have things routed. I have the 5S and the LPD8 being used as MIDI controllers, and I have them both being plugged into the Push 3, and the Push 3 is actually powering the 5S. And I have the VT4 being powered separately. I have it plugged into an outlet on the ground. And also you'll see that my recorder is here. I really only have this here so that you guys can actually hear what this all sounds like in the audience perspective. Now, I don't know if you guys have taken notice to some of the cables that are here. I do have some colorful cables that are part of my setup, and they're kind of on purpose. Now, I have done enough shows and enough gigs to know that having so many black cables and black wires, it is so easy to either lose your cables or to pick up someone else's cables by accident. So in a world full of black cables, I've intentionally kind of invested just a little bit more money to get something as colorful as possible. So the cables that I use for stereo outs when I actually go to gigs are actually pink and purple. You're not gonna see the pink and purple cables, but I will show you a clip of what they look like. Now, the cables that you see here that I have plugged into the 5S and the LPD8, they are from DJ Tech Tools. I have this orange cable for my microphone. And of course, my microphone itself is kind of bronze, so no one's running off with that. With that said, let's go ahead and do a quick demo, shall we? I hate that I write about you. Guess I'm still a little traumatized. Lost in the hurt, but I'm still trying. Something about these late nights, I can never get my mind right. I wish I never ever met you. With all the shit you always put me through, I'm always wondering if I'm good enough. I'm tired of wondering if I'm good enough. I wish I never met you. Never met you.
Wish I never met you. Shit fucked up.
Don't know how to get by without you, without you, without you.
All the little things you told me, wish you never even told me. Do you even remember? 'Cause I remember.
Funny how you put me all through these things. All of a sudden, man, it's not even a thing. All of a sudden, man, it's not even a thing. Just a fling, just a fling, just another fucking fling. I believe in you, I believe in truth. I believe in us, I believe in trust. Can't believe that I believe in you. I believed you.
Don't know how to get by without you, without you, without you, without you.
So far, this has been one of the best solutions as far as the way that I like to perform. I could see myself in the future, if I wanted to kind of expand this, I could see myself probably getting another case, right? Another case, another simple X stand, and maybe setting it off to the side. I'm really not in a rush to add more, right? I'm really good with where I'm at. The only thing on my wish list this year is for Roland to drop a VT5 that, you know, solves my problems. I don't know about everybody else, but I want them to solve my problems. And with that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. And if anything, I will see you in the next video.